Hi there, this is Art and Such with my Rainbow Loom tutorial for Julien for Madagascar. For this pattern you're going to need some green, some orange, some yellow. Originally I used a couple of round yellow beads for the eyes, and I will show you how you can thread beads on with dental floss. This time I'm going to use a couple of yellow pony beads. And you also have the option of taking a black Sharpie marker afterwards and drawing on the pupils. Otherwise, you're going to need black and gray. Now, unfortunately, I am just about out of my dark gray, so I'm going to show you how to do this today using a really light gray. And you're going to want a hook and holding hook, your loom in the offset configuration, a couple of C-clips. I think that's about everything. We should be ready to start. So let's do our legs first, and for that we're going to go to the bottom of our loom, take a black band, put it on the second peg from the bottom, twist it onto the bottommost peg, twist again, and bring it back over both of those pegs. Take your hook, and we're going to take the bottom figure 8 there and pull it over. So go to the second peg from the bottom, grab the bottom band, bring it over the top band, go into the bottommost peg, grab your bottom band and bring it over. And if this is coming loose, then you're grabbing the wrong band. So just make sure you've pushed your lower level layer down. Reach your hook through the bottommost peg, grab that side of the band, and catch the other side coming down. This is going to be one little toe. From here we're going to switch to gray, and we're going to take a single gray, stretch, twist, bring it back onto itself, and slide your black band over. Replace the other side, and do this one more time. And we are going to make another 2 of these. Now I did a total of 3 on the feet and 3 on for the hands. I know in the movie he does have 4 fingers, so you can add 1 more. I just felt it would be a little too bulky for this particular figure. So I'm going to stick with just the 3 again. So repeat, we'll go a little faster. Black, twist, twist it over, reach inside on the higher up peg, and then reach in the lower one. Now if at any point you feel your hook is getting too full, you can, as I suggested, or as I mentioned before, take a holding hook and put it on. 1 doubled over single, replace, 1 doubled over single, and replace. So this is 2, and we're going to make 1 more toe, foot part, whatever you want to call it there. It's kind of funny because somebody had asked me to do the penguins from Madagascar, and I will in time. I've been putting it off because I'm low on black and white bands. As I've said, I have to ship them from elsewhere, and it'll take a month to arrive, and I get charged a fortune in custom fees. I'm really sad they don't sell the bands locally anymore. But anyway, so we're gonna take this all and put it onto 4 doubled over singles. So here's the first one, and slide it through all of them. So I went to look up the penguins because they are on my request list there, and it seems to me that nobody's done any of the Madagascar set. So I'm gonna try and get some of the other figures up while I'm waiting to get some more blocks. This is our second doubled over single, and yeah, this guy was kind of fun to make. So, okay, wherever I got these light gray bands from, they're kind of awful. The dark grays I used originally are just from the standard Rainbow Loom set, or kind. Okay, so those are our 4 doubled over singles. I can see already this particular kind of band is going to be a little bit tighter. That's okay. We're going to take 2 bands together, put it on the end of the hook and pull through, and we need another 4 sets of double bands. Not doubled over, but double. Take 2 together. And again, we will have a total of 5 sets of double bands. So this will be our 3rd set. And our 4th set. And our 5th set. And we're going to make another leg in exactly the same way. I'll do it on camera, but I might not talk you through all the steps as thoroughly. You'll be able to see what I'm doing, and if you do want the step-by-step, you can always go back to the start. Now the arms and the legs are going to look somewhat similar, so just be careful if you are putting them on different hooks or switching around the order that you keep track of which is which. This is our 2nd leg that we're doing now. So starting with the toe, and it goes onto those 2 doubled over singles. And then we'll repeat that 2 more times, like this whole piece. I'm going to move my first leg down a little bit. Okay, second one. Now, I know we're kind of underway here, but another option, if you don't like putting the black piece on the loom, you could always just take a black band and wrap it several times on your hook, but it will come out a little bit thicker. This makes his toes, his feet look a little more pointed as they do in the movie. But instead of this, you could theoretically just wrap a black band on your hook several times and then pull it onto 2 doubled over grays, single grays. Just if you're, I guess if you're really struggling with this, but hopefully you've come this far and you're doing just fine. Okay, and this goes on to 4 doubled over singles. So here's the first one. We're going to pull it through all of our toe pieces. Try to even it out as best you can. And the second one, three, and 4. And then we've got our 5 sets of double gray bands. It's one of the nice things about this pattern is most things are done with the same couple of colors. And the only place that's not so nice is when we get to the neck, because you're going to have to dig through a couple layers, but it's not horrible. It can be done. This is 3 sets, 4 sets, and 5. Now at this point you have a couple of options. You can leave this where it is. You can put it onto a separate hook. Or I think what I'm going to do, because eventually we will have to put both of these onto 2 bands. So I'm going to do that now. And then put that onto a separate hook. Again, I'll just encourage you to keep track of which are where you put your arms and where you put your legs, because they will look very similar. Okay, so I put both legs onto 2 bands, slid it through both legs, and I'm going to put this just on the side for now. Shake out some more grays, and we're ready for the arms. So we're going to start them the same way. Bottom of the loom, second piece from the bottom. Do that same figure 8 wraparound. Make sure the first wrap is lower. You can pull that bottom layer over the top one. pull off, and we're going to do the fingers exactly as we did our toes. So single doubled over gray, pull it through the black piece, repeat, and we'll need 2 more fingers that look just like this. So exactly what we did for the toes. The difference is going to be once we're building the arm, really. The hands are going to be quite a lot like the feet. Second finger, and third one. These are just stuck together. Hold on. There you go. Fresh out of the package. So, yeah. One more. Tell you though, the nice thing about this is we don't have very much to do. Like once he comes off of the loom at the very end, there is not a lot to be added or adjusted. Most of what we do, it's going to be on the hook or on the loom, and there's not a lot of overlap here, which is nice. There won't be too much fiddling at the end. Okay, we've got our 3 fingers, and they're going to go onto a doubled over single gray. What did I do here? Oh, that's right. Doubled over single gray. And then we will have another 9 doubled over single grays. That looks correct. So that was our first one out of 10. This will be our second one. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and then we're going to put this onto 2 sets of double bands, or 2 bands. So take 2 bands together, put them on the end and pull through, and repeat. Okay, we are done both our legs and one of our arms. We have one more to make. So we are going to do 3 fingers the same way we did the other for the other hand, and the same way we did for the toes. So get that black piece. It's going to go onto 2 doubled over single grays. So here's the first one, and repeat. Same thing, second finger. And second doubled over single. One more finger to go. Really excited because I'm getting tired of making these. They're, like I said, these gray bands are super tight, and my skin is kind of chapped with the winter, so the sooner we get on to the next part, the happier I will be. There's a little bit less tension against my fingers. Okay, now I'm just complaining. Sorry about that. Okay, there we go. Last one, and then we're going to need to put all 3 fingers onto 10 doubled over singles. So first one, double it over, pull it through the hand piece, replace, and as you're going to try to even the pieces out, like center it as you go. This is 2. 3. Seriously though, I'm looking forward to working on the loom here. 4. 5. 6. 7. 3 to go. 8. 9. And 10. Once more, we're going to be pulling all of this onto 2 sets of double bands, so 2 bands together and then 2 bands together. Alright, our limbs are complete. We will make the tail when we get closer to tail time, if you will. So let me see how much space we have, because maybe we will do the head and body together, which is a little different from how I started this off, but I think we can do it. So we will. Okay. 2 light gray from your top center peg down to the top side peg. Top center peg to the top peg on the other side. Come down twice on either side with double gray bands. This is where, as I said, it's nice to have everything, or most things, in the same color here. Come down 3 times in the center with double gray bands. And I'm glad this is going to work out this way, because then we don't have to have a big mess when we add the body. It's not a big mess, but it's a little bit easier to set it up this way for sure. Okay, 2 bands in from the 3rd side to the 4th center, and 2 from the other side, 3rd peg down to the 4th center. Let me pull up the picture of the body, and we're going to just do a quick count here. 1, 2, 7, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So we're going to take 2 bands down. Just give me a second to get set up and then I'll explain it. Center 4th to the side 4th on either side. I'm going to come down on each row using double bands. And just make sure this fits. This is 4 sets. 5, we should be good. 6, 7, and 8 on either side. And this should take you to the 2nd peg from the bottom on that side. We might only need 7, but I will double check that for you in a minute. In the center, starting at the 4th peg down, you can also double band your way down. And I will double check the count for you just a second here. We're not going to go to the bottom of the loom. The reason I'm not quite sure on this is because originally these 3 bands were separate, like were added separately as connecting pieces. So I just have to double check my picture. I think we're counting from the arm, so that's 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. Yeah, so we only need 7 on the outsides, and we are going to have 1 more on the inside, but we need to make and add the tail first. Yeah, okay. So the center row, you're going to have bands laid out up to your 10th peg down, 9th peg down, no, 10th peg down, and on either side you're going to have bands laid out to your 11th peg down. Okay, let's make our tail, and we'll go from there. Or actually, we can put the arms on and then we'll make the tail. Clear off some room on the hook. Try to angle your arms so that they're facing inwards. That might mean taking it off of your hook and see, like, no, this is pretty good. If you find it's kind of coming out backwards, like so, you can take it off of the hook, put another hook through from the opposite direction, and then press it down. Okay. See, this is not the way I want it to go, so I'm gonna take it off. Now you can use another hook. I'm gonna use my fingers to just pinch it, squeeze it, turn it around again. And there, that's nicer. Now this hook is free. We're gonna do the tail. Take 2 gray bands, twist them on the hook once and twice. Take 2 black bands, put them on, slide your gray through. We are going to have a total of 12 sets of double bands alternating between the gray and the black. So our 3rd one is going to be gray, 4th one will be 2 blacks, 5th set will be 2 gray, 6th set will be 2 blacks, 7th set is going to be 2 grays. This is 8 is black, 9 is gray, 10 is black, 11 is gray, and 12 is black. Now, as I said, these light gray bands I'm using tend to be a little tighter and curl more, but you should be looking at something sort of like this. We're going to put this onto 2 gray bands and then slide the gray bands from the 4th peg from the bottom of the loom to the 3rd peg from the bottom of the loom. And just tuck that tail in. Now you can take your leg piece, and remember we put those double bands through. So those bands are going to come off the hook and go onto the 3rd peg from the bottom on one side and across to the 3rd peg on the bottom from the bottom on the other side. We've got to get the hook into the band between the legs and pull it up over the 3rd peg from the bottom on the center. Okay, let's add some holding bands. Then we'll loop up the body, make some details to put on our face, and we will go from there. Okay, go to the, let's start at the, okay, let's start at the 3rd pegs down. You're going to bring a single gray across and form a triangle. Go to the 5th pegs down and form a triangle beneath the arm. Onto the 6th pegs. We're going to repeat this till we get to the feet. So 7th pegs down, 8th pegs down, 9th pegs down, and 10th pegs down. And we are ready to loop up the body. I'm going through this slowly just to make sure we get everything. Okay, so let us go to the side closest to you. And there is a lower layer of double bands coming each from the peg above. Those are the ones you're going to want to be grabbing, but we need to grab them through the top layer. So point the open part of your hook away from you towards the top of the loom. Push back the bands that are holding the legs, scoop up the bottom 2 bands, and bring them forward onto the next peg. We're going for the bottom 2 bands again, so push back everything above it, take those bottom 2 and loop it forward. We are going to loop up, I think that's about 5 more times, 4 more times, until we get to the arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, and oops, time. I cannot believe how stretchy tight these bands are. Hopefully that'll mean they'll be durable, but who knows. Okay, reach into the arms, find the bottom 2, and bring them to the center fourth. Push that down just a little bit, make sure everything is neatly scooped in. Okay, and we're going to loop up on the opposite side, the far side, doing the exact same thing. So reach into the band, holding the legs, loop up, push back your holding bands and loop forward, and continue until you reach the arms. I was just thinking how very sad I would be if I discovered my camera wasn't, that I hadn't pressed record on my camera. I just looked down and it's all good, but that would be so awful. Okay, I'm just loosening up this band on that 4th side peg down so I can see the bottom 2. And we're going to bring them in diagonally again. Try as best you can to keep the layers on that 4th peg down neat, because we're going to have to dig through there. It's going to be a little messy. Go back to the 3rd peg from the bottom in the center. Take the bands that are under that peg and loop them forward. And we are going to loop up to the neck and then pause there for just a minute. We've got 2 parts to, well, 3 parts to add onto the face. Now, I'm going to loosen up the bands, moving from the bottom of the loom and up to about the 5th pegs down. I don't want to bring it up further because I don't want to loosen up this area or lose anything I've looped, but I can cover the top 5 pegs coming down on each row and loosen up the lower parts. The reason I'm doing this, aside from relieving some of the tension on the loom, is because we're going to use the bottom of the loom in a minute to make the ears, which we could have made first and would have been easier to add then, but this will be just fine. Okay. Oh my gosh, look how springy he is. Let's do our eyes next though. I'll give you a couple of options here. Might as well grab some yellows out because we will need those soon. So if you are using bands, you can take a single yellow, wrap it 1, 2, 3 times on your hook and repeat. And pull onto a single gray band. I'm going to show you 3 different ways to do this. So if you're using bands, you would then take the band that the yellows are on, stretch it from your 2nd peg down on one side to the 2nd peg down on the other, separate and pull that band over the 2nd peg down in the center. However, I'm not going to be using bands. So the second way to do this is if you've got beads with small holes, which these are not, but my first ones were. If your bead has a small hole on it, you can take a piece of dental floss or a needle and thread or a thin wire, run it through both beads, run it through your elastic. I just like giving you some options here, and bring that back over and back through the beads from the opposite direction, and then you can slide them on. See, these ones, the hole is way too big for this, so I don't even, I mean, of course I don't need it, but in this case I just wanted to show you how I got on the beads I used the first time around. Slide it onto the band and then stretch it across 2nd peg down to the 2nd peg down on either side. The very last way, which is what I'm going to do here, sort of officially, if your beads have larger holes, pop them onto your hook, transfer them to the bead, and then stretch them across. So that's 3 ways to do this. We're going to separate and pull over the center bead. Center 2nd bead down, regardless of the kind that you've used. Okay, last two parts, and then we will do our little headpiece, which is actually crazy, crazy easy. Okay, for our ears, you're going to take a single gray, double it over, and we're going to move to the bottom of the loom. Go from your third peg from the bottom to your second peg from the bottom on one side. Repeat on the other side. And take a single, double it over, bring it from the second peg from the bottom on one side to the bottommost peg in the center. Repeat from the other direction. And one more time, double it over, bring it across from the second peg down to, or second peg up to the second peg up across. We're going to take a single gray, wrap it 1, 2, 3 times, and then put it onto a doubled over single. And then we're going to lay that down. So we'll replace the end, lay that onto the bottommost center peg as a cap band. And credit where credit is due. I'm pretty sure I got this technique from watching Looming with Cheryl. Apologize if that's wrong. I'll try and double check it later, but I think she's the person who did one of those early Rainbow Loom pegs, and that's where this ear technique comes from. Reach under that cap band, find the top doubled over single band, carefully pull it over to the left side, and loop up once on the left. Go back in, get the remaining doubled over single, pull it to the right, loop up once on the right. Oh my gosh, these are so tight. And we're going to carefully remove this. And the way to do that is you're going to put your hook through the bands on the third peg from the bottom on the right. Do it carefully, make sure you get both pieces of that. And it ripped. Okay, hold on. Gotta replace that piece. Hold on. Once you have that, you can take off some of the lower pieces, and your hook goes down through the bands on the third peg from the bottom on the side closest to you. And hopefully yours is a little less curvy, a little pointier. This is what it should look like here. What we're going to do is go to the top of the head, take the bands from the top side peg. We're going to lift off the bands on the top side peg, the ones remaining, and transfer. If you need to, you can take off this top center one too, if you're still feeling awkward about this. But we're going to transfer the earpiece onto the doubled over pieces at the top there. Make sure it all goes over. Now, as I said, if it's easier for you, you can take those bands right off the loom again, and then put the earpiece on, and then replace in the same order. And now we can put back the bands we took off from that top side peg. Camera's leaning there. Okay, let's make the other ear. Back to the bottom of the loom. Doubled over single on the second peg to the third peg from the bottom. Repeat on the other side. Doubled over single, coming in the second peg from the bottom to the center peg at the bottom. Repeat for the other side. Doubled over single, stretching across one side to the other, second peg from the bottom. Hold that up so you can see it again. Take a single and wrap it on the hook. 1, 2, 3 times. You can make it a little tighter if you want. Pull it onto a doubled over single. Put the other end back on. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is getting frustrating. 1, 2, 3. And onto that doubled over single. I feel like my fingers have grown and that's why it's too tight, but you know, it's just this kind of bend. And put it onto the bottommost center peg. Let's try this again. And we're going to loop up, so go underneath that holding band, securing band, whatever you want to call it. Take your doubled over band, bring it back to the side closest to you, and loop up once through there, carefully. Go back in for the other doubled over single, bring it to the right and loop up once on the right. Go through the bands on the third peg from the bottom on the right, and we're going to try to carefully loosen that, and then down through the bands on the side closest to you. Go to the top of your head. I've just flipped my loom around there because now we're going to do the opposite side. Take the bands off the top side peg, and again, if it's easier, you can remove these bands and get to the bottom one, take it off. I'm going to do it right on the hook here, right on the loom here. Slide it through the earpieces. We want to make sure we get all of it and that it's sliding nicely. And replace that band. Okay. And replace the bands we pulled off. And we need our nose, and then I think we're good to loom. So for the nose, go back to the bottom of the loom last time. Take your black, second peg from the bottom, twist it onto the bottommost peg, bring it over and above, just as we did with our fingers and toes. Pull it over, up through the bottom, down through the next one, and this is going to go onto one doubled over gray. And then it's going to go on to 3 gray bands. So take 3 bands together, pull it through, replace, take a single gray, slide it through, and this is going to go on to, I'll double check for you in a minute, but I believe this goes on to your second pegs down, which is the same pegs that are holding the eyes. Let's have one more check of the picture, but that should be good. Here's our nose. Yep, so we are all set to loom up the last part, which is the face, and then we will add in this pretty little crown thing. Okay. Now this is possibly the hardest part of all, because what we're going to have to do is sort out the layers here. Now I'm looking above and I'm seeing the vertical bands are at the bottom. My left or my far side bands are above that. If you look really carefully here, you can see the next layer is on top of that. Those are the ones coming from the side closest to me, and those are the ones that I want. So I'm gonna reach in on this side. You can use your hook, you can use your fingers. Just gonna pull it so that it's kind of sticking out. I'm going to carefully press back the bands on top until I get a clear sight and reach of those double bands. Really take your time with this because it's quite easy to grab the wrong layer, and we don't want to do that. Then it's going to look kind of messy. Okay, so I got one. I'm going to carefully bring that over. I don't want to break any more bands here. Here's the other one. Trying to think if I have any other hints for you to make this part easy. Not quite sure. I think it really is just take your time, move slowly. I'm going to put this one back because I want to pull these out together again and get a clearer view once more. Sometimes you'll find it really quickly and it'll be easy. Sometimes it takes a little bit of digging around and looking around. The more carefully, like the more your bands are pushed down and the more carefully they're cleanly they're layered here, the easier it will be. I swear I'll get this eventually. I'm tempted to turn off the camera while I look for this, but YouTube's made some changes to their editor. I'm not sure how well I can splice parts together anymore. Video parts. Oh, I think I've got it. There we go. Now the next set should be a little bit easier. It's going to be coming from the side furthest away. You can use your fingers again if you need to pull them out, but they should be a little easier to find. They're going to go to the far side or the right. And then we've got just the bottom two. Push back everything but those and bring it forward once. Now we can loop up on the side closest. Reach in through the holding bands, the neck bands, bring your bottom two forward. Push back the pieces with your eyes, everything else loop forward and loop inwards to the top center peg. Opposite side, reach in, loop up twice. And we have one thing to be careful of when we get to the middle, so just hold on. Loop in diagonally. Now in the center, what we're going to do, we don't want our nose to be stuck on the inside, so we're going to lift it up and under the third peg from the top. Reach into the third peg from the top, grab your bottom two, bring them forward between the eyes, loop up one more time. Now I'm going to hold on to that top center peg, but I'm going to loosen up the rest of the body because this is very tight on my loom right now. And it'll be easier to remove this guy afterwards if the body's already off. Okay. So our last couple of steps here. We are going to take 3 yellow bands, and these are the jelly yellow, so if you're not using jelly, you might want to do a couple extras for the thickness. Put them on your left forefinger and second finger. Take your hook, point the open parts away from you, and push down through the bands on the top center peg. Make sure you go through all of those. We're going to grab the yellow bands, keep some tension on this, and with the open part pointed away from you again, bring it up and through the top center peg. When you get to the top, you can turn the open part so that it faces up. Put your other side on, pull the 3 loops furthest from the end of the hook over the end of the hook. Now you can put this on a C-clip, a hook, or your fingers, and we're going to take this guy off of the loom. And just don't let go of the yellow pieces. I'm nervous now. Let's see how we're gonna come together. Okay. Push the eyes through a little bit here. And the nose. The nose side is your front side. We're gonna take 2 yellow bands, and they're gonna slide through that top piece. This is optional, but no, actually we don't need that. We don't even need that. Okay, give this a really good tug. If you're nervous, you can put a C-clip on this piece or the bottom. I can't tell if I did do a second loop. I think I did. Okay, let's take 1 or 2. We are going to try this. So I'm going to go through the bands, pull 1 or 2 through. This doesn't look right. I think that's, no, this is what we did in the first place. Okay, we're good. Yeah, so give it a nice tight tug so it won't undo. You can use a Sharpie to draw on the pupils of your eyes. Center everything else. Unless your bands are super tight like mine, they shouldn't be flopping about. They should be sitting kind of flat like this. Now for the kind of colorful crown, we're going to take about 4 or 5 green bands. You're going to love this. This is like the easiest part of any of this. 2 orange bands. And then get another green band handy. And we are going to go through just on the inside of the ears. So let me get this in, and then I will sort of show you. So I'm just above the eyes. I'm between the ear and the yellow piece. And it's red, not orange. There we go. I'm going to take my greens and the orange, but leave one of the greens on the side. Oh. Let me put this onto another hook first. Put them on a hook. Take a single green, slide it through, put the other end on, replace, pull the further side over the end of the hook. Now this is all in a nice little bundly knot. And then we'll put this on the hook that's through the head. And we are going to pull it through to the back, like so. And put it on a C-clip. I'm just going to tuck it in under a couple of other bands to make it a little tighter, and then we'll put it on a C-clip. And that's exactly what we're going to do for the other side. Let me take some minute. Now you can cut the tops of the loops off if you want to. I wouldn't recommend it though, because that way they can slide out. Unless you've been crazy super tight on here, but okay, about 4 or 5 greens, a couple of oranges, and another green for the back. This time we're going to put it on the hook first. Slide that single through, replace, pull one side over the other to create a knot, hold on to that loopy knot piece, come through on the opposite side, pull that green piece through, and that will go on the C-clip as well. That once more, I'm going to go to the back, pull it under a couple of bands just to make it a little bit tighter, and then place it on the same C-clip that I used for the first part. I hope you can see that okay, it's kind of backwards. Press your eyes through. As I said, you can add your pupils, even everything out. If your guy is kind of springy and you want to make him less jumpy, what you can do is turn him to the back, go under a couple of nearby bands, pull one piece under the other, and put it on a C-clip, and that will help him to sort of stay in place. He looks an awful lot like Wile E. Coyote, doesn't he? Except for the hat part. Anyways, I will put the video up and try to get going on some of the rest of the Madagascar set. And there is your Julien. I thank you for watching.